Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be talking about the harsh temperatures that's going to be continuing throughout this week, especially for Wednesday and into Thursday. Got a light snow chance for Wednesday and potentially another winter storm could be brewing for your Friday and into Saturday. And we're going to get started with the Kentucky Mesonet stations this evening. It is cold out there. Temperatures generally in the low to mid 20s out there. And you can see the higher elevations of southeastern Kentucky, it's even colder. The Harlan County site is 15 degrees out there, and if you factor in the wind chill, you can see here where we got a little bit more wind out there. You know, it feels like the teens out there. But let me tell you guys something about the Kentucky Mesonet stations, and let me show you guys the winds. You see a lot of zeros out there, right? Zeros all across through here, basically. Why are these numbers showing zero? Because if you go outside, there's at least a light breeze. Well, that's because this is where we've had the freezing rain. This is where some of the highest ice accumulations have been. And when you get so much ice, the wind anemometer freezes, so the spoons on the top of the wind anemometer can't spin because it's frozen in ice. So that's why you're seeing a bunch of zeros out there, and this is probably going to stay this way here for several days because we're going to stay pretty cold, and we may not make it to freezing until next week. So you're probably going to see these zeros on these Mesonet stations for a while. And unfortunately, the ice storm has caused a lot of power outages out there. I think overnight, we peaked near 100,000 customers without power. And some of the worst icing has been through generally across these areas. You know, right in here, it's where we've seen some of the worst of the icing in here. And in my backyard in Mercer County, we picked up a little over half an inch of ice. Now, thankfully, we haven't lost any electricity. Our power's flickered several times, but there are some unlucky people out there that's probably been out of power since yesterday. So hopefully those people can get the power restored very soon. But we're down way low compared to where we were last night. Like I said, 100,000 I think was about the peak, about 100,000 customers, and now we're down to 39,000. So electric companies doing their best as they can to restore power out there, and hopefully we can get that down to zero very soon because it's going to get cold. If you look at low temperatures for tomorrow morning, this is from the European model, you can see here if we get some clearing of the sky, lows can be down in the teens. Now if you see cloud cover, temperatures will be a little bit milder, low to mid 20s for lows tomorrow morning. But if you get a clear sky, you can get down in the single digits. And the highs tomorrow, you know, some of us may be stuck in the teens all day long. Areas that got a lot of ice and snow on the ground, you're probably going to stay in the teens all day tomorrow. Areas that haven't seen as much snow and ice would be in the 20s. And this is going to be the common thing for the next couple of days. And here's Wednesday morning lows here. Some of the colder temperatures a little bit up north, you know, lows in the single digits. In Kentucky, a little bit milder. May have some cloud cover to work with. And there's actually a small snow chance for your Wednesday. And let's talk about that. And we're going to look at the HRRR model here. And you can see here getting into Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, you can see the potential for some flurries and snow showers out there where we're going to have just a little bit of lift in our atmosphere. It's going to be just strong enough to support some flurries and snow showers out there, and that's going to continue throughout pretty much the first half of your Wednesday, or maybe for some of us could be most of the day. And check out the lake effect snow up north. You see these lake effect snow bands stretching all the way down into Ohio from Lake Michigan. And that gets to tell you how cold it is and how strong some of those winds could be up there. And usually to get lake effect snow this far south from Lake Michigan, you got to have very cold temperatures out there, and even in some occasions some stronger winds out there as well. So going back to European Mall for temperatures, high temperatures for your Wednesday, where we once again got snow and ice on the ground, quite a bit of it. Highs in the teens across southern Kentucky, where we haven't seen as much ice and snow, mid-20s. And look how cold these temperatures get Thursday morning. And Thursday morning could be brutally cold. If we can get a clear sky Thursday morning, temperatures will go below zero. And you can see the European Mall suggesting that potential of getting some numbers below zero. And it's got, looks like I just saw a -4 reading in Shelby County. So, yeah, it's going to get cold. If you get some cloud cover, it'll be deep in the single digits. And areas that haven't seen as much snow and ice would be in the low to mid-teens. So it's going to be a very cold morning for your Thursday. And you can see your highs once again struggling to get out of the teens for a good chunk of us out there. And it gets cold again Friday morning. And once again, areas that see any clearing Friday morning, it will go below zero. And you can see, I do see a -4 degree reading close to Maysville out there by the European model. But we actually see some milder temperatures. And what I mean by milder, upper 20s in southwestern Kentucky. That's cloud cover moving in for our next system that's going to come in Friday and into Saturday. So let's talk about that system here in a minute. And if we check out high temperatures for your Friday, you know, it's still cold out there, but some areas may actually get close to freezing out there as well, depending on the track of the low. And let's talk about that system. And we'll check out the European model here. So this is Friday morning here. If we look off to our southwest here, look all that snow that's breaking out across Oklahoma, Arkansas, northern Texas, and that snow even gets down to central Mississippi. At the same time, you get a mixture of sleet and freezing rain going as far south as northern Louisiana out there. And this is our next system that's going to be on our way. And this is getting into Friday afternoon. The snow moves into western Kentucky here. Our low is way down to the south. Our low is down towards the Gulf Coast. I don't know why my thing there got small. But anyway, our low is way down towards the Gulf Coast, or even out in the Gulf of Mexico. So this is actually a Gulf low pressure system, and usually these low pressure systems have a ton of moisture to work with. So if you got a lot of cold air, there's going to be quite a bit of snow that's going to break out, and that's exactly what the European Mall suggests. A lot of snow could be out there. Now, what I mean by a lot of snow, maybe widespread light to moderate snow, and you can see here it stretches across multiple states. Tennessee, Arkansas, parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio could see some snow for your Friday out there. And meanwhile, here in Kentucky, we still get our fair share of snow as well, and then that snow moves out of here really could be by Saturday afternoon. Now, that's just one model, one solution. Let's check out the American model, see what its thoughts are. So this is actually Thursday afternoon here, and you can see we got that winter storm all going down towards Texas. And there could be some significant snowfall totals down across parts of Texas as well. So they may get a big winter storm down there. And you can see how that low there starts to move to the north. And look at all this snow breaking out across northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, getting into northern and central Georgia. And that snow comes up here in Kentucky. And you can see here the GFS is more aggressive with the snow compared to European Mall. Even got some pockets of potentially some heavier snow in there, and where the low is tracking a little bit farther north and where the low is a little bit stronger, it's trying to show some mixing down in southeastern Kentucky. Right now I believe it's going to be an all snow event. However, if your low begins to trend northward, then we may see a little bit of mixing down in southeastern Kentucky. Even if we see some sleet and freezing rain in southeastern Kentucky, it's not going to be to the extent that we saw yesterday. At least for now, I don't think so. I think it seems unlikely we're going to get another ice storm out of this. I think for most of Kentucky, we're going to stay as all snow with this. There's a lot of cold air to work with. But you can see those periods of moderate to maybe at times heavy snow, especially across central and eastern Kentucky. More lighter snow for western Kentucky. And here comes the cold air kind of settling in here. And you can see even going into Saturday here with that northwest flow, we got some snow flurries and snow showers out there across central and eastern Kentucky. And that snow shower action could get into maybe in parts into Saturday night as well. So GFS a little more bullish. What about the Canadian model? Well, here's the Canadian model. This is getting into late Thursday night into early Friday morning. Look at all that mixed precipitation. A lot of freezing rain, sleet, and snow down towards the southern plains. You can see how that system moves up towards our direction here. And you can see more of a mixed precip type mode across parts of the deep south out there. And if the Canadian model is correct, some areas may get a nasty ice storm down there. But you can see here, even with the storm system being more amped as well, with the Canadian model compared to the European model, it still gives us a pretty decent hit of snow out there. And that snow lingers throughout most of the day of Saturday as well. So this could be another almost 2-day type of system where the system arrives as early as, say, Friday afternoon, and it kind of goes throughout most of Friday night, and it kind of goes through a good chunk of Saturday. So this could be another long-lasting winter system for us. Now, the exact timing could change as we get closer, but right now it seems like Friday and Saturday looks to be the target time frame when this wintry system arrives. Let's check out some of the ensembles here. This is the ensemble mean from the Canadian side, and you can see here now some of these numbers out here is actually from today's winter storm, so you got to take off just a smidge on some of these snowfall totals. You can see here earlier in the run, you can see it takes into account of some of the snow earlier on. But look at this winter storm coming up. Look at those snowfall mean numbers now towards Oklahoma and Texas. It's got to mean up to 9 inches out there. So that's a pretty strong mean coming from the Canadian ensembles. And you can see here in Kentucky, it's generally, 2 to 5 inches of snow. Or actually, I should say 3 to 5 inches of snow as a mean from the Canadian ensemble. So there is actually some agreement from the Canadian ensembles with higher numbers down towards Tennessee and especially back towards Arkansas, where there's some higher numbers out there. So there's actually some agreement that we're going to get some snow out of this. But can we get to winter storm, criteria? It's certainly possible. The GFS ensembles, if it's correct, we can get into winter storm warning criteria, which winter storm warning criteria in Kentucky is 4 inches or greater. So that's what's considered a winter storm. And this is the GFS ensembles here. And you can see stronger mean across southeastern Kentucky, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of snow generally. Now, I forgot to mention from the Canadian ensembles, you notice here, up here, it's using a 10 to 1 ratio. And what a 10 to 1 ratio is basically if you get 1 inch of rain, you get 10 inches of snow. And it's all about how cold the temperatures are. Well, the temperatures are going to be pretty cold with this system. Some of us may even be deep in the 20s when this system arrives. So those ratios are going to be higher, which means the snowfall amounts would also be higher as well. So when this model here is spinning out, like as an example, 3.6 inches for Lexington, it's probably closer to 4 to 5 inches of snow, as a mean. And if we were to go to the GFS ensembles, it's got, 4 inches of snow for Lexington. The mean may actually be closer to 6 inches. And then in southeastern Kentucky, it's 5 inches. It might be closer to 7 inches as a mean. So the reality is, some of the ensembles, especially the GFS ensembles, actually has a pretty strong agreement that we're going to see a winter storm out of this. And I think the winter storm potential is increasing with this system here. And here's another way to look into the winter storm potential. And once again, this is using a 10-to-1 ratio. And what this is a probability of you seeing at least 4 inches of snow using the 10-to-1 ratio. And you can see GFS has almost got the highest probabilities across southeastern Kentucky. Generally a 30 to 45% chance. But considering this is using a 10-to-1 ratio, I imagine those percentages would be closer to 60%. Which is actually a pretty good chance at this range using the ensemble. So now I'm not going to show you guys the European ensembles, because I don't have access to the 10-to-1 ratio mean on the European ensembles, but I've seen it somewhere else online. It's actually kind of in between the Canadian ensembles and the GFS ensembles. So for right now, there's actually a pretty good agreement. We're going to see a good snow out of this. At least the minimum out of the system, this would be a winter weather advisory event, which would mean, 1 to 3 inches of snow. But there is definitely potential out there that this could turn into a winter storm. And the thing about it is, and this is going to be complicated to some people, but if we go to tropical tidbits here, let's use the GFS as an example. If we look at the energy at 500 millibars, this is why we're seeing a difference here between some of the models here. So you've seen that the Euro is not as ample the system like the GFS and the Canadian. Well, here's a reason why for that difference here. You can actually see here there's a lot of energy going on off to the west. But our main part of the system is down towards northern Mexico and Baja California out there. So you got your northern stream starting to come in here, and here's your southern stream down here. And watch what happens here. This is Thursday morning here, which we already getting this first system out here sampled. Right now, the southern stream system is in the western U.S., so we actually are getting that system there sampled. The other part of the system don't come in, looks like until Wednesday. So we may not have a better idea on the system here until Wednesday, which is just about 2 days from now. But you can see here how these systems here kind of face together. And here comes another piece of energy up here coming through the upper Midwest. That arrives in the upper Midwest Friday morning here. And here's the main system down here. It's already been phased with a different system one time. But you can see how it phases, right over the Ohio Valley, which would give us more snow. So there's a lot of piece of energy going around with this system here. But with the difference with the European model, which we can look at it from here. So let me take this back to Thursday and go to the European model. You see a little bit of a difference here. Our northern piece of energy is actually a little bit slower getting in here, but also this piece of energy down here towards the desert southwest and down towards Mexico is a little bit farther to the southwest. But you can see here what's going on here. The northern piece of energy comes in here a little bit earlier, but you can see how the European model is kind of holding back that other piece of energy. Now, the problem with the European model is that it holds too much. It holds that southwestern energy too far to the southwest. It holds towards down Texas and Mexico too long. So that's a known bias on this model here, which kind of makes sense why this model here is actually not as amped. And the Canadian model is a little bit closer to the GFS model, so there is some agreement there. But you can see how it kind of misses that opportunity up here. If this here would be a little bit faster here, this would actually be a little bit of a stronger system, which actually, I'm actually looking at the latest run of the European model. It's actually in range on this site here, so we can actually look into the precip type map here. You can see here kind of similar to the previous run here of 12Z run, so it's kind of similar here, but I'm going to lean towards the GFS model in this one. I think this is going to be a little more of a amp system, but there's also a possibility this can end up trending a little bit north as well. There's actually some room for a northern trend with this system as well. Also, you also have, a snowpack out here, and storm systems like to ride along just south of the snowpack. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But I'll definitely be watching for a northern trend here, because if we do see a northern trend, that could potentially mean more snow for us here in Kentucky, and it can also mean a stronger system as well. Usually, with a far northern system, means it's also a stronger system. So we got to keep an eye on that as well. But winter storm potential is certainly there with this system here, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye on it as we get closer. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys liked this video, hit that like button. If you really like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys got any questions, you can put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys questions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.